Oh, hi everyone. Hello. Tonight is a very short broadcast. It's really just to go over some of our resources that are available in our community. So, the low carb fasting holistic wellness community, we do offer a few resources. This is mainly an orientation for our new members. And again, it is an international community, so I am speaking to you in English. We have a few members who are not Filipinos, so people who mainly speak English. So I'll be speaking to you in English in out of respect for our community members who are non-Filipinos. So tonight is mainly an overview going over the free resources that are available in our community. And if you have noted my announcement tonight or tomorrow night here in Vancouver, tomorrow morning in Vancouver, tomorrow morning in the US, so North America tomorrow, tonight in the Philippines and Asia, I will be talking about low carb fasting lifestyle and COVID 19 because I know there have been many questions regarding COVID 19. I think it's about time we discuss how our particular lifestyle, so the low carb and fasting lifestyle, can help protect against COVID 19 and really understand the science behind it. So that's happening tomorrow morning in US, Canada, tonight in the Philippines. The session today is mainly to go over the resources that we have in our community. And so, again, for you who have not been able to join our community yet, it is the low carb fasting holistic wellness community. And today, I am going to discuss with you the few resources, how you're going to go about using the community as a resource for you to help you not only in your weight loss journey, but also in your disease reversal journey, the medical lifestyle related diseases. Okay, so again, if you have not joined our community, look for this Low Carb Fasting Holistic Wellness Community by Iris Radev MD. You'll find that on Facebook and join the community. And you will see all the resources that I'm going to discuss here. So let's go over the resources. For some of you who are newbies, really like new to the concept, newly joined the group, new to the page, new followers, people who have not really gotten deep into knowing more about this lifestyle, let's go over the resources. Okay. So the resources that we have, number one is the main guide. So let me pull it up. The main guide, you will see this in the welcome section. Okay. So the welcome section, give me a moment. As you can see here, we have the steps to follow to reach your ideal body weight or to start to reverse your medical conditions. Number one, we always start with the cornerstone, the foundation, the basics. You are going to go low carb. Okay, so low carb, our requirement is 50 grams or less per day of net carb. And to know how to go about this, I'll pull up the other resource. So again, the way to know, there are a few different ways. One would be to download an app called Senza to help you get to know the net carb of each food so that you stay below. So again, this is another one of the visuals. You have to really know this by heart. There is either the ketogenic way or the moderate low carb way. And we want in our communities to advocate for moderate to ketogenic. So 50 grams or less per day. For many of you who already know this, again, this orientation is meant for newbies, people who have just joined our community, people who are new to the concept. Okay, so bear with me. I need to do the orientation just to give attention to the step-by-step guides, okay, how to use the community in a really efficient way. So we want to advocate for less than 50 grams per day, as you can see here. So here are the plating examples to give you an idea. Just trying to pull it up. I lost it somewhere here. So again, here are the platings. So you see here, we want to be either ketogenic or moderate. And we have our food guide to help us with this. So I also, in the resource section, you see the food guide divided into three sections: green, eat freely; yellow, moderation because of the inflammation factor; red, stop and avoid completely, get it out of your system to get you transitioning to fat burning the quickest time possible. Again, if you want a clearer copy of this, put in your email or send an email, DM it to Iris Radev MD. My team will be there to answer. I don't personally look at the messages, but our team flags all of your messages and they inform me if I need to answer some questions there. If you need resources like downloading this PDF, so it's a clearer copy that you can print, laminate, put on your fridge, take with you to the grocery, then please put in your email. Okay, some of you who are my patients, I always give this as a hard copy to you, colored hard copy. So next time you see me, ask me for another copy if you want an extra one. So that's the third resource. Now, the next resource is this: understanding the main driver for fat storage, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, disease states. It's insulin, right? So, this is the main hormone. The moment that you understand that there is a hormonal basis to dysregulation of metabolism, the easier it will be for you to adapt both low carb nutrition and intermittent fasting. Because then you will know that every time you stimulate the insulin, either by eating certain food that are highly insulin stimulating, so these are the carbs. And again, I always flash this graph. So carbs stimulates insulin the most. Proteins, not so much. Fat, even less, right? So if you are eating mainly food that will stimulate the insulin the most, based on this graphic, which I want you to really remember, take it by heart, remember it. It's boss insulin that drives fat storage, and fat storage is the state that promotes insulin resistance and all the aftermaths of insulin resistance, high blood pressure, obesity, increased abdominal weight, fatty liver, high cholesterol, high risk for other chronic disease like cancer, neurodegenerative disorders, even inflammatory states, chronic pain, joint pain, things like allergies, right? So it all boils down to this main driver. So the moment that you understand that you have to do your best not to disturb the boss, right? Boss insulin. If you understand that boss insulin should not be disturbed if you don't need to disturb him, then it follows that it's easier for you to adapt this lifestyle, to choose the food wisely. Okay, and again, we go back to the food guide. Everything in green will not disturb insulin so much. Everything in yellow also not as much, but be careful of inflammation effect. Okay, so that is the fourth graphic. Next graphic: simple truth about modern day diseases. Our human body was not designed or has not caught up yet with advances in technology. So, what happened was with the onslaught, so let's call it the carb tsunami, right? With the carb tsunami, 24/7 access to food. If you need something, you don't need to hunt, you don't need to plant, you just have to buy or open your fridge, right? 24/7 access to food, body doesn't get a chance to rest. And what will happen? More insulin stimulation and more fat storage. And the aftermath is modern day diseases again. Okay. Next slide: fatty liver. Again, an aftermath of the insulin resistant state. It's all about excess carbs. Contrary to popular belief, it's not the fat in the diet that drives fatty liver, but it is the excess carbs that get transformed into fat inside the body. So again, not the dietary fat, which plays a really small role, anywhere between 20 to 25% only of the fat that gets deposited in the liver, but mainly the carbs, okay? You need to understand this. Mainly the carbs that drive fatty liver. Okay, so there's that. Fatty liver, again, part of the metabolic disease spectrum. And then creating your low carb plate. So we don't want, the last thing we want is an imbalanced plate, right? Number one, it isn't sustainable. It's really hard to sustain a plate that does not nourish you. Food is supposed to provide you with energy that nourishes you, preferably energy in the form of fat, which you get from ketone bodies, and you get this from staying low carb. So, but we also don't want imbalances, right? And so there is a way to create a low carb plate. A lot of the community members post pictures of well balanced, nutrient dense meals that are low carb. Have a look. Again, if you're not already a member of the community, join the community. If you are a member, use the picture, the photo section to have a look at all the combination of food that members are posting. So, number one, the essential thing, protein, you have to meet your requirement. So most of the community members in my group are active. They do regular movements, exercises, strength training. It's really important to make sure that you have enough protein. The requirement 1.2 to 1.7 gram per kilogram body weight. If you are, let's say, 50 kilos, then your requirement can be anywhere between around 50-ish, more than 50-ish to around all the way to 80. Just do the math, okay? But you need to have enough protein. Again, protein will give you satiety. It will help you feel full. So you don't always feel hungry, all right? Help you to transition to fat burning. Important to meet your protein requirements so you can build your muscles. Number two, you have to have your fat source. Again, don't be afraid of the fat. Here you have the guide. Use the guide. What kinds of fat should I eat? There is the guide for you, right? So things like avocados, chia seeds, macadamia, MCT oil, coconut oil, olive oil, right? Olives, salmon. There's so many fat sources. Use the guide, but meet your requirement. Okay, so that's the requirement number two. Number three, low carb veggies or fruits. Again, see the food guide. You have there division, carbs in the green section. And also in the yellow section are some of the more starchy carbs. You can have them in moderation to promote the metabolic flexibility, but in the beginning, it's best to stick to the green section where you get lower net carb veggies and fruits. Okay, so that's the third part. And finally, fourth requirement, check if your plate is nutrient dense. Number one. Number two, is it satisfying, right? You have to make it palatable. You have to make it a pleasure to eat, right? You cannot be restrictive. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. And of course, the main requirement, stay low carb. So 50 grams or less per day. And that'll help you to keep healthy, stay healthy. Okay, so that is the next visual. And I think we have a few more visuals here. It's mainly for, just to remind you in a more visual way, some of the food, which ones are higher carb. So for example, this one is a photo visual of fruits. The ones on the left are mainly low carb. Ones on the right, especially the ones in red, are higher carb. So you want to avoid. If you're just starting out in this journey and you have a lot of weight to lose, disease reversal to do, preferably really stay low carb. Stick more to things like berries. Okay, berries are lower carb, and the items on the left. Okay, so coconut, cantaloupe in smaller quantities. The middle section, be moderate about them and avoid everything here to the right. Okay, and then we have obviously here the things that are really high carb, the common culprits. Just have a look. Okay, the usual things: rice, bread. I mean, look at the chocolate bar here. Candy, 70 grams, right? You're gonna go way over your net carb requirement, which is to stay low carb, it should be 50 grams or less per day. Okay. And then you have things like in our visuals, you also get these things. So common drinks and what are the net carb. So have a look at the soda there. Soda, even smoothie, that's supposedly healthy. It's higher carb. Look at the milkshake, 60 net carb, especially when they use high fructose corn syrup, right? And then even vegetables that are starchy will have higher net carbs. So the supposedly healthy sweet potato will actually have a higher net carb count versus something like a carrot. Okay, again, the quantity also matters. And we also have, I believe, there are also other things here like, so this is again visual of healthy fats, things that you can eat. We have also, this is more in the moderation section. You can still eat these things, but be careful because they're processed, so they're more pro-inflammatory compared to natural meat that you buy and cook yourself and prepare yourself. So I think that's about it. Common reasons why we decline posts. It's an international community. If you want to post in Filipino, that's okay, but provide an English translation. Okay, so everybody can benefit from your post. If you are posting a cultural dish, that's fine as long as you explain what the cultural dish is. Not everyone knows your cultural dish. So be mindful of other people. Always be kind and courteous. Obviously, provide value. We are okay to promote your Facebook pages and YouTube channels as long as you are providing value. Okay, as long as you're helping other people in their journey, we are okay to help you promote your brand, your advocacy as well, no problem. Okay, and I think that's about it. Again, tonight for Filipinos, tomorrow for people in North America, Canada, US, I am going live to discuss low carb fasting in terms of COVID-19 prevention, recovery. How exactly does it play a role? Why do people who do not practice low carb and practice the opposite of low carb, which is high carb diet, why they are more vulnerable to COVID-19? Okay, so please get your questions ready. Let me have a look. Let's see here. Okay, so here's a question. Chocolate. Well, chocolate, it depends, right? If it's cocoa, the pure, like cocoa nibs, and it's very, very important to read the label. Okay, so read the label. If it says, the net carb is pretty low, like usually cocoa nibs will be probably even less than 5 grams, then that should be fine. And if it's organic and there are no added preservatives, then that's okay. Because if you think about it, the cocoa actually comes from cacao, right? It's the cacao plant. By virtue of its natural state, it really will not have that much of high sugar. So very important to read the label. Okay, let's see here. And here's from our admin. If you want a PDF copy, you can DM your full name and email address. So this is one of our team members, and we will send you a copy of the food guide. Okay, and let's have a look. Okay, so the fat allowance, so Manilids Punla, it really depends on the state of your health. What exactly are you working towards? Are you doing this for weight loss? Number one. Number two, are you doing this for disease reversal? What stage of the journey you're in? There's no strict cutoff for fat, unlike protein where you get a requirement. For fat, it is up to your needs for the day, but also take into account the stage of your journey. If you're just starting out and you need to lose a lot of weight, then probably you want to keep your fat not too high. It can be, higher than normal if you're eating mainly proteins and fat, but keep in mind that you want to create that deficit, right, in energy. And so, even though we say, don't calorie count, it's not really the main focus here. But when you are just beginning in your journey, it's important to be mindful of eating too much fat. It's really, eat your protein first. And after eating the protein, because protein will give you satiety. So, protein will have a direct effect on satiety hormones. So leptin, hunger hormones, and when you satisfy those hormone effects, then you actually will feel quite full. Then you can ask yourself, do I still need to eat more fat? The fat certainly is needed because you need fat to absorb certain vitamins, but it doesn't have to be too much. Okay, because sometimes also depends on your disease state. If you already have things like heart disease and it's been a bit hard to treat, you may want to do a sub umbrella of low carb, which is maybe a low carb Mediterranean fusion, because Mediterranean diet has been known to have it's an evidence-based strategy to lower the risk of heart disease. And in fact, one of our resource speakers for low carb convention, so Chef Ed Kawit, he specializes in this kind of modified low carb, and he spoke about it really well during our convention. If you haven't attended our convention, I highly encourage you. One of our admins, please post the link to the low carb convention recordings. They're still available. You can access them through the low carb con page. Okay, go to the low carb con page. You can access the recordings and see the speakers talk about the modifications to low carb lifestyle. Okay, and one of them is low carb and Mediterranean fusion. All right. And yeah, so everyone who put in the copy, thank you. Our team will be in touch. And that's it for me. I am going to join you again later tonight. It is nighttime here. Just wanted to say hi. I haven't seen you guys in a long time. So I just wanted to touch base. That's it, everyone. Stay low carb and stay healthy. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.